I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
We're going for a drive. '20 BMW X3M
Competition
with
launch control.
underwhelming start, but a lot of speed once you get going.
Exactly. It's that initial start that is not crazy with BMWs.
Turns out you have to hold it down for launch control, so you build boost up to like 3,000 RPM.
So let's cut to the clip of me doing it properly at 3,000 RPM.
In the X4M. Yeah, we're editing 12 hours before the video goes live.
So it does 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.1 seconds because this is the competition. 4.2 for the non-competition.
Horsepower and torque.
503 horsepower because we're in the competition and 442 pound-feet of torque. 473 horsepower for the non-competition.
So this is the first time that there's been an X3M.
Yes, there is.
And there's also an X4M as well, which we'll be driving tomorrow on the track.
Yes, we will.
So look out for a separate video for the X4M on the track, which is pretty much exactly the X3M.
But coupier.
So what's the big deal with this one?
The engine.
What is the engine?
This is, for you BMW engine nerds, the S58 engine. So it is all new and everybody knows that this is going into the new M3, M4.
So I should probably punch it?
Obviously. It does throw you back in your seat, but it's not violent.
It doesn't feel as fast as the GLC 63S
It doesn't.
or the Stelvio.
Yeah, I think it's kind of close, but feeling-wise.
And
yeah.
it's not as exciting.
It's not.
But it is fast and it is very comfortable.
It is very comfortable, and I think this is the best middle ground out of all of the competition that we've driven.
For fast SUVs.
Yeah, so it's the most comfortable with this right amount of power. So back to that engine, it is a 3-liter straight 6, and it is pretty much all new. I think it's 90% new. We talked to the engineer. So it has improved cooling, and it sounds really good.
Yeah, and it's got burbles when you let off. It doesn't have like pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, so we figured out that the M40i, all those M Sport versions, they have these like defined pops.
Where it goes like blah, 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 blah after.
Yeah, this is like a gargling, like.
It only happens in low RPMs when you let off. In high RPMs, it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, so they obviously prioritize power and not so much the fun kind of like weird sounds associated with it.
Yeah, I feel like the burbles are just for slower driving in the pits, so when you let off, it's blah, 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 blah.
Pretty much.
And then when you're on the track, you just hear the engine screaming the way it normally sounds.
And it sounds really good. It's very creamy for a straight 6. And back to that engine for a second, it's a 3-liter inline-6 twin turbo.
So I want to talk about looks, but before we do that, we got to introduce today's sponsor.
Kijiji Autos. We have been using this app so much lately, and I have actually bought my Raptor from it.
Kijiji Autos makes it easier to find the car that you're looking for.
You can search by make and model if you know exactly the model that you're looking for, just like if you're looking for this BMW X3, which there are over 1,200 of them on Kijiji Autos right now.
And if you don't know exactly what kind of model you want, there's a whole bunch of search options, so you can search by categories like body type, so if you want a convertible or an SUV.
Yeah, and there's also dealer ratings as well, so you can see exactly what dealer you're buying from and how they're rated.
I've been looking for a car for my wife, and I've been using that a lot.
And you also get instant price analysis, so you know if you're getting a fair price right away.
So download the Kijiji Autos app from your favorite app store or click the link below in the description.
Yuri, send it!
Into the looks. So I want to start off with the looks because this is newly designed, and I kind of want to compare it to the X4M because the looks is what's going to make people go from one to the other.
Okay.
Front end.
I like it.
It looks a lot like the M2 competition, like very big and in your face.
Yeah, and the difference between this one and the non-competition, basically from the front end, is that the grills in the middle are blacked out on the competition. That's about it.
So the front end on the X3M competition and the X4M competition are exactly the same.
Identical.
The only differences between the two are the back.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the side profile. The X3M is not hunched back like the coupier X4M competition.
I am definitely an X3M person.
I generally like the coupiness. Like, I think the X6M is better. I think the GLC 63S Coupe is better.
Disagree completely.
But I have to side on the X3M for this, even though I would probably get the X4M personally because it's cooler.
But it's uglier, you're saying?
Yeah, it's not as aesthetically pleasing, but I think it's cooler.
All right. And speaking of that back end, the taillights are also different on both.
Yeah, so we've got the 3 Series style taillights on the X4M, where on the X3M, we've got more like traditional SUV style that go all the way around.
That's exactly it.
I kind of want to see the X3M ones on the X4M. I think that would be cooler.
That would be interesting.
I think like the back part around the taillights is where the X4M kind of falls apart. Like it just doesn't have that oomph, and especially if it's one without a spoiler.
Yeah, so we looked at an M40i without a spoiler and it looks pretty bad.
Okay, but spoiler on the X3M.
It helps.
It looks pretty cool, and it kind of goes in and out. It's very aggressively shaped. And the body lines are pretty regular. They don't stand out too much from the non-X3M competitions.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything too special.
It kind of sucks because on the M3, it's so much wider than the regular 3 Series.
It is, yeah.
So I would like to see more added to this, but I guess, you know, whatever. First attempt, let's take it easy.
And by the way, that is called Toronto Red.
Yes, you can get it on both of them. Why is it called Toronto Red?
Because BMW names colors after cities because of racetracks.
They wouldn't tell us exactly which racetrack it was named after.
No, we kept prodding and they couldn't name one.
Yeah, I think it's a design committee, but they go around and do colors based on different cities. But red, Raptors,
Toronto
guess who
Red
won yesterday?
That's right. Even though by the time you watch this video, it's very delayed, but we still won.
We won yesterday. That's right. And your favorite part of this X3M competition?
The exhaust.
So it's not the fake kind of BMW stuff they've been doing lately.
No, on the M40i, M Sport versions, they look horrible. This is fantastic. So they know what they're doing. They just need to bring that down to the M40i models.
And how about fake vents? Because I noticed a lot of them are real.
Yeah, a lot of them at the front are real, but I found one fake vent that bothers me on this car, but I need something to test it with. Matt, can you help me out?
Yeah, I have here the CarWow twig of truth, because you've never used one before. I think you should start with a twig.
Okay.
You might be able to upgrade to a stick if you deal with it
Come
properly.
with me. Let's see if we can do this. All right, here we go. Can you verify that for me? That looks fake.
Yeah, you need to push a little bit harder like that and stab at it and hopefully scratch some of the paintwork a bit while you're doing it to annoy some viewers.
Okay.
There you go. You've kind of got it. I'll leave you to it now anyway.
Thanks very much. Fake vents.
And how about these wheels?
I really like the ones on this competition. The non-competition ones are 1 inch smaller, and the design of these is better as well.
And what is the Continental recommended tire for the X3M competition?
The Sport Contact 6.
So that pretty much covers all of the looks.
Yep.
Do you think it looks better than the competition or worse than the competition?
Is that an innuendo for competition?
No, but actually.
I think it looks really good. I did like the original X3. I think this looks better than a Macan because it's more aggressive. But Stelvio, no, that's just a sexy car, which I said in that review. The GLC 63S, I think I'm kind of toss up between those two.
Yeah, I think this falls in the lower part of the rating systems for looks, but it does look very good regardless.
Yeah, overall the black accents, the black mirror caps, which are M mirrors, I think it all looks really good together.
And the competition really seals the deal.
Exactly.
Now that we're done with looks, I want to mention what's going on inside the car, infotainment and gauges wise.
What generation of infotainment do we have in this 2020 vehicle?
Not the newest. It's not the one that says, hey BMW.
Which is what we like. This is the generation that we like.
The sweet spot.
Yeah, this is one generation back.
So with that, we have different gauges, which I think is the best part. It's the older gauges.
Yeah, you can see your RPMs clearly. I love these gauges.
It is a little busy.
A little bit.
But compared to the new style where the RPMs go opposite on the other side and all the numbers are very small, I like this one a lot more.
So do I. I think they look cool. I think the graphics are cool. I love them.
This was in the M2 competition, I think.
Yes, it was. But the newer platform for M cars is getting the brand new gauges, which has this needle sweep the same way.
Yeah, we saw that in the M8 commercial.
So they have fixed those gauges as well.
And because it's an older generation one, we've got a different style shifter than most of the BMWs we've been driving lately.
Yeah, left, right, a little bit confusing, but you get used to it.
And then we also have the same style older buttons on the side for your suspension, steering, and engine.
And it's all gloss black, which is kind of gross, but it's fairly minimal, I should say.
And it's very easy to use.
And then we have carbon fiber almost everywhere else, which looks fantastic.
And with the older gauges, we get the older head-up display that pretty much takes up the whole windshield in sport modes.
Yeah, it's massive.
It works, you definitely know what RPM to shift at, but it kind of is distracting.
Yuri, finish off this infotainment real quick, because there's not much to talk about.
It's got Apple CarPlay wirelessly, it doesn't have Android Auto, it does rewind satellite radio stations, it's got the proximity touch buttons, all your climate's easy to use, and that's pretty much it.
And it's got the 360 camera, which is kind of fun to use.
And park assist and lane keep like on the older X3.
Yeah, it doesn't have like the new one where it watches your eyes.
And we should probably mention navigation because we had to use it for the event today. So how many times did we miss our ramp?
Twice.
I suggest Google Maps.
Yeah.
This thing changes last minute way too quickly. It's hard to use. Google Maps for life.
Just give us Google Maps. Well, you have it with...
So with all the fun stuff out of the way, I'll let you drive, talk about the driving and interior and all the rest of the stuff.
So we'll get to the fun stuff now.
No, that's tomorrow.
Hey, Yuri.
Punch it.
It takes a little bit of time to react, but I did hear that nice upshift. So if you're in the right gear, it obviously reacts a lot faster. So I was not in the right gear, I just left it in drive there. So if I use my paddles, it's actually pretty quick to shift because this is an 8-speed ZF, which we all know and love.
And we've got 3 modes of shift speed.
Yeah, that's right, on top of our shifter because this is an M car. So this is twin turbo, and they incorporated the turbos right into the exhaust housings. So one turbo feeds the first 3 cylinders and the next turbo feeds the next 3 cylinders.
And then how about that fake plastic engine cover on top?
That is actually the intake manifold, and it is not fake. So there's actually a part in the middle of the engine where they had to incorporate the strut brace so air goes underneath that because that's the entire intake manifold.
Which is really cool that they're not using a fake engine cover.
Yeah, and I talked to the engineer that's actually responsible for designing this S58 engine, and I asked him if it was difficult to work around that strut brace. He said a little bit, but he made it work. And because this is a real M model, there's tons of upgraded cooling that you don't get on the M Sport models.
Yeah, there's even an intercooler like tucked in on the side with the other intercoolers in the front.
Exactly. So they cool your radiator, they cool your transmission, your diff, so this is track ready. And we also have forged internals, so this thing is very beefed up, ready for its application in the M3, M4, which he did not want to say. And this also has a valved exhaust, so you can actually turn it off, but I would definitely leave it on because it's not overbearing in here at all.
No, you don't really hear it inside, but you do get those little blah, 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 blah when you let it off, and you can make that go annoyingly forever.
Yeah, exactly. You can keep tapping, just like you can on other cars, but it's fun to do.
But if you drive one, it's low RPM, so 2,000 to 3,000, tap.
So let's talk about how this handles. This is X-Drive, but it's the M version of it, so it handles pretty well. And I'm gonna send it through cliche New York corner, and let's see what this thing can do. It's a very heavily rear biased system, so it almost does feel rear wheel drive, and it is actually mostly rear wheel drive until it senses that the back wheels can't take any more power, they're starting to slip, then they finally send power to the front.
The guy was telling us that it's a lot like the M5 system.
Yeah, so theoretically, they can disconnect the whole front wheels and have this as a rear-wheel drive drift missile, but it does not have that mode.
Yeah, they never built it in.
But we do have 4-wheel drive sport, so we can change our modes, and then it'll affect how this car feels and handles because it also has M dynamic mode, so that the traction is not fully off, but it lets you get a little bit sideways, which must be pretty fun, especially on the racetrack.
Which we will drive tomorrow and post later on. But for public roads, this thing is great. Like, it pulls through so hard. You're so fast.
And what does this also have that's better than most other non-M cars? M steering that actually works. It's so responsive, like this thing turns on a dime. This is one of the most responsive SUVs.
If anything, it's almost too twitchy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Stelvio, which I really loved. I
think the Stelvio steering was better. However, this feels very good. Unlike the Z4, which we reviewed, we didn't like it. There's too much play.
Yeah, the Z4 M40i, because it's not an M Z4, Z4M. And we do have adaptive suspension, which is standard on all M models, and it's very comfortable even in the most sportiest mode, which is Sport Plus.
Yeah, comfort's pretty soft, but it's not soft.
Exactly, the difference between Comfort and Sport Plus isn't that big. And I'm not sure if I'm kind of disappointed because of that, because this is called The Competition, which is a pretty serious name. I kind of want it to be like super firm, which this isn't.
I think you want competition to mean Black Series like AMG.
Well, not...
But it just means an S instead of like an E63, E63S.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just a little extra sprinkle.
That's exactly what this is. I want more.
You want another scoop.
Yes, exactly. Just because of the name. So with all the fun driving stuff out of the way, this is a fast SUV, handles very well. Let's talk about this interior.
I love the seat color.
The seat color's great.
What is it, like mustard on black?
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but it looks really good, and the seats are very comfortable as well.
Yeah, I complained about the last X3. There's a little too much padding in my back where the lumbar should be. I feel like this is similar, but a little bit better.
For me, there's no issues, and there's also adjustable side bolsters, which really helps on the racetrack.
And we've got light up M logos like the M5.
Because this is an M.
And as for the rest of the interior, we've got that mustard color on the side and in the back as well. It all looks so good all together.
It does.
And we've got a huge moonroof.
Yeah, which is smaller in the X4 because of the shape.
So how about the back seat room compared to the X4M?
Back seat room is much better in this one. I have no issues in this one. In the X4M, a little bit tight.
And you were saying that you like the armrest on the window.
Yeah, I noticed that when I had the window down earlier, it's beveled in a perfect way so that when I just rest my arm, it's very comfortable. And the driving position is really good. You still have very good visibility, but it's not as low as like a Macan.
And then down here in the cup hold area, we have an X3M Competition badge, which I think looks fantastic.
I straight up love that badge.
And then if we look at these cup holders, they look like they'll fit a small cup of coffee. We're in America, so we forgot to bring Timmy's. Maybe we'll try to get a Dunkin' Donuts.
And now the visor test.
We usually save the visor test for the video, but there's actually sun in my eyes, so 3, 2, 1.
Ah, it passed.
This is why we do the visor test.
Let's do it again though, just in case. 3, 2, 1. Yes, that is a pass. Box test.
No, we can't bring boxes on a plane.
Yeah, I guess we can't.
I do want to box test the X3 versus the X4 to see how much usable space it actually makes a difference for.
Oh, and let's talk about the steering wheel. We've obviously got the M badge, we have the M stitching, and I don't think this wheel is as girthy as the M3 previous generation was.
No, but it is girthier than the average steering wheel across the automotive world.
Yeah, it's a typical BMW wheel. And like you said earlier, we have these amazing customizable M buttons, and then we have paddle shifters, which are pretty much the same as every other BMW.
Okay, after driving the Stelvio, are these paddle shifters up to snuff?
No, absolutely not.
It was just so perfect. And even the Ferrari we drove at the racetrack at iCar, it only had column-mounted paddle shifters at the top. I feel like I'm spoiled.
Yeah, a little bit.
My life is ruined.
All right, you ready for a change of pace? Hit me with the price.
Hit me with the price.
Oh, no change of pace? $82,700 for the X3M. $93,000 for the X3M Competition.
And then do you have to pay more or less for the Coupe X4M?
$1,600 more across the board for the Coupier X4M. Yeah, so even the Competition as well, $1,600.
So that puts it right in the whole ballpark for the rest of the fast SUV competition.
Yeah, which we've driven the GLC 63S and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio.
And then the Macan GTS.
Yeah, which we also drove 2 years ago, which has now been refreshed.
And then the Trackhawk costs less, but it's bigger and faster.
Yes, and less luxurious.
So it's kind of not really competition.
No.
Unless you're going by price.
Yes. So is this your favorite overall or near the top at all?
Not even close.
I agree.
But if you're a BMW person, it's such a cool new BMW.
I think this is the best balance out of all of them. So it's still super fast, it still handles really well, and it's the most comfortable, I think, in terms of having the same amount of horsepower or similar. But it's not the best at anything.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
So let us know where the new BMW X3M Competition lands in your fast SUV list.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Patreon.com/TheStraightPipes. Join our YouTube membership, Teespring for shirts, and watch out for the X4M Competition video on the track so you can see what this thing's like on a racetrack, which you'll never take it on.
And download the Kijiji Autos app. Check out your favorite app store.
I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. Subscription break. Don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe right now. Subscribe. We didn't do that.